All right. We are live, baby. But we got to let it breathe because Facebook, dwindling though it is, has some key members there that would be most upset if we did not connect. And so we're almost there. Welcome in, everybody. It is, in fact, the Mile High Huddle podcast returning this Thursday night. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, as always, my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him, Zack Kelberman. Zack, first things first, Sean Payton. Gun to your head. Is Sean Payton giving up play calling?
In the short term, no. Gun to my head, no. I think over the long term, yes, it's an on-ramp for Davis Webb now as the OC to eventually get that responsibility. But I think in the interim, Sean Payton's going to be taking on that challenge, Chad.
We'll go through some of the stuff we've been hearing, kind of tie everything together, the different rumors, the different points of view. But keep in mind, guys, nothing meaningful up to this point has been said by anyone from the team or directly connected to the team that Sean Payton is going to give up play calling. I thought it was interesting, Zack, the reaction that Chris Sims had, of course, NBC Sports, former NFL quarterback, former Broncos quarterback for 1 year anyway, when he was asked, hey, what are your thoughts on Sean Payton? Should he give up play calling? He's like, quote, no way. He about spit out his coffee. He's like, absolutely not. He's one of the greatest offensive minds in the history of the sport. But however, he then, Zack, makes a good point. Goes on to say, quote, I do think their offense was, for a Sean Payton offense, rather basic this year. I mean, if you really looked at it, and we watched film of the Broncos, and then I said, all right, let's go watch the Bears or the 49ers or McVay or McDaniels and go look at some of the things they're doing. You go, whoa, they're doing a lot of stuff here, close quote. Then, though, it's like, all right, so if that's the case, you're saying no, absolutely not. He's one of the brightest minds, and yet kind of a basic offense. So maybe what you're actually saying here, Chris, is that perhaps it could be in the cards that he's given up play calling. So no. Actually, here's how Davis Webb impacts things. He said, quote, I think it's probably part of the reason the offensive coordinator move was made, though. I feel like Joe Lombardi was very basic West Coast offense. I think Davis Webb's going to have more ideas to throw into the pot of stew for Sean Payton, more concepts, and a little more creative that way. And I think that's probably what Sean Payton's looking for. Sean's a mad genius, but even the mad geniuses, Zack, I'm almost done, need some ideas, some idea guys behind the scenes. The Shanahans had the LaFleurs and all these other guys behind them to kind of go, hey, do it this way or do it that way. Mike McDaniel, whatever. And it helped Shanahan and his genius. And I think that's where it'll help Sean Payton, close quote.
Yeah, I mean, it depends kind of how you regard Sean Payton historically as an NFL coach, as a play caller. He won a Super Bowl with Drew Brees, built up Drew Brees. We all know the backstory. He's built up Bo Nix now into a borderline Pro Bowl quarterback, borderline top 10 quarterback, took him to the AFC title game. So from that standpoint, anyone who feels that way, acknowledges that, will probably lean in that direction. Like, he shouldn't give up play calling. Why do it to a guy who's still green, Sean Payton, give him the benefit of the doubt, things like that. That's why I think you can have your cake and eat it too if you're Peyton and Davis Webb. You can acknowledge that Sean is still the guy in charge, but Davis will incrementally have more responsibilities during the week and on game days, and that's going to kind of grandfather him in slowly. It's not going to be an abrupt process. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, we got to keep in mind Davis Webb is 3 short years into his NFL coaching career. He's gone from being a quarterback's coach. He's going up the ladder. Quarterback's coach and pass game coordinator, pass game coordinator 2, offensive coordinator. And maybe after one more year ripening on the vine, that's when teams will start going, okay, we trust a little bit more of the possibility. But guys, let's keep in mind, first of all, removing the Sean Payton ego thing aspect from the equation here. The Broncos were a fractured Bo Nix ankle away from the Super Bowl. Sean Payton's not about to go make wholesale changes to what he's doing, his process. If anything, Zack, he's probably even more bullish in his own self-belief. But he, for whatever reason, he had his reasons. I think Chris Sims is actually onto something there for moving on from Joe Lombardi. And it wasn't just purely to create the space for Davis Webb. I think it's because he felt like Davis Webb could bring those extra spices to the table. Papa Bear, brother, great to see you, big dog. Thank you so much or the generous super chat and for being a dear member, saying good evening, everybody. Good evening, Broncos country. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. All those things, guys. Listen, we're trying to get to 40,000 subscribers on YouTube, and we're at 38 and change, something like that. So if you're watching after the fact, if you're watching live, you're not subscribed, just hit the subscribe button. Help us get to 40 because we're going to do some fun stuff to celebrate when we get there. And we are oh so close. Oh so close. We've got the Lady
Deanna,
D checking in from
you.
the top
Thank
row.
you.
Here she is, gifting us with her insight and her takes and supporting us as well, helping us keep the lights on. And she's also gifting memberships to folks in the chat back-to-back nights. We love you, Lady D. She says, hey, Chad and Zach, unfortunately, I have Seattle winning. We're talking Super Bowl here. Drake May isn't ready for the Super Bowl. My opinion, I'm wondering about the offensive line. We need the center, wide receiver one, every player for depth on the O-line. I don't understand why Mims is re-signed. Dude, I'm having straight up deja vu.
Yeah, I was
Did you
just
just have
thinking
that feeling?
Yes. Look, we just took this exact question.
And yet it was a separate stream, so it's not like it would duplicate.
Right. Yeah.
But her points, we talked about the Mims thing. We talked about the center thing, Zach. Wide receiver one, RB1. Those things, though, very much on the menu for the Broncos this offseason.
Yeah, that hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, am I in an alternate timeline?
I
I'm
know.
pretty sure Deanna asked this exact question, structured the exact same way, the same wording, and we appreciated Deanna twofold now. Thank you so much, as always, for your generosity. But as I said yesterday, I think it was, or Monday, I'm losing track now. I agree with what you're saying there. Mims needs to be a priority along with McMillian on defense, the cornerback, and bring in wholesale weaponry for Bo Nix, running backs, receivers, and tight ends. Thank you
Here's
again.
a question. What do? You're looking at the 2023 draft class, the first Sean Payton draft class as Broncos head coach. What do you do with those guys, all of whom are entering a contract year? We've talked about last night, spent a lot of time on it. Marvin Mims needs to be a priority. Yeah. McMillan's coming back, at the very least, on a restricted free agent tender. But I'm with you there, Zach. Just extend him, keep him in the fold for another 2-3 years. But what about Riley Moss, Zach? What would you do? What do you think the Broncos should do with Riley Moss?
I think they should bring him back, if only just for continuity. You're bringing back Vance Joseph, and Riley. Say what you want about him, he's gotten better as a coverage cornerback. He's a little too grabby. The referees are still eyeing him too much, but he's gotten better if you actually objectively watch the tape. So I would bring him back, but it wouldn't preclude me, kind of how you feel about J.K. Dobbins, Chad. If you re-signed him, it wouldn't preclude you from adding a running back. If you bring back Riley, it doesn't preclude you from also boosting cornerback as well. But just for continuity's sake, I would look to retain him.
Scott, I just figured it out why we had the deja vu with the Lady D. I think we got to keep it's a StreamYard thing, and it's something that we didn't realize would be a problem. But I guess that's why every stream has to be its own fresh stream, or else we're going to have to deal with that kind of stuff. So really weird. Sam Bam, brother, great to see you. In case you missed it the last couple of days, the Mount Rushmore t-shirts are on the way to you, so be looking for that in the next few days in the mail, big dog. Thank you for the super chat. He says, evening, guys. Looking forward to getting through the Super Bowl and getting to the true offseason for the Broncos. Can't wait to see what moves they make. Go Broncos. Enjoy the game on Sunday. You too, big dog. And it's interesting you say that, Sam, because it reminds me of what Jim Leonard said today during his introductory press conference as the Bills' new defensive coordinator. And he was asked, hey, Bills Mafia wants to know, was it a catch, right? The controversial McMillan interception in overtime in that divisional round game. And Jim Leonard says it was not a catch. We caught it. Denver, that is. He caught it. And then he kind of realizes perhaps that he had stepped in it a little bit. And he goes, look, to me, until the Super Bowl is over, we're still in the 2025 season. And so, I got to maintain a little bit of loyalty there. Ask me about it in a week and I'll have a different answer for you. But I think we know, Zach, his true belief on it was that, no, it wasn't a catch. It was an interception by a phenomenal play made by Jaquan McMillan.
Man, I hate the fact that he landed in the AFC and he's with the Bills now, because I love this dude. I wish him nothing but the best, all the success in the world. I think he's going to kill it as a DC, and I loved hearing that today. And it's the truth. It's the truth. What he said is gospel. So if you don't take it from us, take it from Jim Leonard, who would know a little more. Thank you, Sam, for the Super Bowl, though. This has got to be one of the least cared about Super Bowls in recent memory, at least in my opinion. It's a lose-lose, Chad, whoever wins this game. So I'm not really that invested this year.
The only trying to be as objective about it as possible. The only thing that gives it, I think, some extra points in terms of not if you pull people around the country, not a lot of folks want to see more Seahawks Super Bowls. Not a lot of folks want to see more Patriots Super Bowls. However, at least it's two new quarterbacks, right? Two new quarterbacks, never been in the Super Bowl. Drake May, second-year guy. Sam Darnold, redemption arc, making it here after, what was he, a 2018 top 3 pick, flamed out in New York, bounced around a little bit, and all of a sudden, these last 2 years, boom. So there's some cool storylines there, and at least, Zach, what I'm getting at, we at least have some fresh quarterback stuff to watch for in this. We got Shannon jumping in. Great to see you, Shannon Mills, a dear member, a Mount Rushmore superstar. She says, good evening. I think Webb might call preseason games and help develop and call the running game at times. Not full-time, though. Sean will welcome his input. That's absolutely true on both counts. Sean will welcome his input. Even, Zach, without Sean Payton giving up play calling, as we've been talking about the last few days, Davis Webb is going to have a big influence and impact on these game plans. He'll have his plays in there. He'll have his concepts in there. I don't know that from a run game perspective, not to be too hyper specific here, but that responsibility still kind of falls on what's his name? Zach Streif, almost brain farted his name, who remains the O-line coach, Zach, and run game coordinator. But I think it's a virtual guarantee that Webb's going to get preseason games to kind of stretch his legs as a play caller, and then Sean Payton will be the regular season guy.
Yeah, I'm still kind of shaking my head at the last conversation about the Super Bowl. The fact that Sam Darnold could get a Super Bowl ring is preposterous, but that's the NFL nowadays. Shannon, what you're saying here is exactly what I said earlier. It's going to be an on-ramp for Davis Webb. He'll have more responsibilities, and as you laid out there, and Chad kind of checked you, and it's true, about the running game, I don't know, but the pass game, Bo Nix being a former quarterbacks coach, that could be a responsibility of his. Doing more work than Joe Lombardi did. What was his responsibility, Chad? He was just there. It's what do you actually do here? Davis Webb will be doing things, and eventually he'll be tasked with calling plays, but it's not going to be, I don't think, in week 1 necessarily.
Totally. I agree. And Shannon, really appreciate you.
Thank you,
and
Shannon.
Your insights, what you bring to the conversation. Really, really great to see you tonight. And lots more, guys, that we have to get to. George Fox, we see you. We're going to be getting to you here very, very shortly. But first, guys, Super Bowl, the biggest game in football, right around the corner, and you can get in on all that action with Underdog. Are you not on Underdog yet? Well, then you're in luck, because new customers score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you make your first $5 entry.
Exactly. Playing an Underdog is easy. Just pick whether players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. Get your picks correct, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Plus, there are new promos dropping daily in the app. So if you like making picks and winning money, then Underdog is the place to be for the big game.
So much fun, guys. Underdog, the opportunity to win money while you're watching football. There's one big game left, and it's the biggest game. That's a touchdown. So download the Underdog app today. Sign up with our code MHuddle to score that $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code MHuddle. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next?
18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
All right, we got George checking in. Good to see you tonight, Big Dog, saying good evening, guys. This is just to say thanks to you and the gang, and also all of Broncos country. Broncos for life, MHH for life. Hit the thumbs up. Amen to that, Big Dog. Let's also get some hellos in here. We got M. Blex. We'll see how much Sean Payton wants to compromise. We're still so early in the offseason. We shall see. Raj, the string guy, saying, I want to see Denver sign an elite RB1 or receiver in free agency. Brees Hall at running back, George Pickens at receiver would work just fine for me. It's just, do we have the cap space if we also bring back J-Mac? So J-Mac, the good news is, J-Mac is a lock to come back because he's a restricted free agent. They'll probably put a second round tender on him. And what is that? $3.5, maybe $4 million for the year. They're currently projected to have somewhere between 20 and 28 million in cap space. That is, by the way, Zach, I'm pretty sure before the rollover, the carryover from their 2025 cap space to 26. And then, of course, that's them, precluding any potential restructures or things they can do to free up more space. So, man, Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis in New Orleans, they proved for years and years that salary cap is nothing. They can maneuver, they can use void years out the yin yang. Eventually, you got to pay that piper, but if there's a will, there's a way. We used to marvel, Zach, at the salary cap voodoo that the John Elway Broncos managed for years and years. So it can be done. It's a question of, Zach, do they really feel like they need to spend that amount of resource on players at those positions? It will be interesting to see.
I think the answer is yes there. And Raj, you could re-sign J-Mac. You can bring in Brees Hall and Pickens and still have money left over. There's ways to structure the contracts. You can backload it, which means you don't have to face the heavy parts of it in the beginning. You can wait and pay later, like a credit card almost. But this is where the Broncos should be putting those resources. I agree. Bring back J-Mac, but let Singleton hit the market. Let Sternad hit the market. Focus your money on helping out Bo Nix. Don't get cheap. Don't nickel and dime. Brees Hall is the best running back on the free agent market, and Pickens is the best receiver. That's a good place to start if you're the Broncos.
Man, I would love to see it. The only thing you got to think about is, does George Pickens fit the Sean Payton culture and this culture that they've worked really hard to establish in Denver? And I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that. They'll have to answer that themselves. But Zach, George Payton is getting people excited because his end of season presser is like, yeah, we're going to be aggressive this year. And that's always great to hear. But Zach, he says that every single year. So it's within the scope of whatever his definition of aggressive actually is.
I don't understand, though, like this perception around Pickens. He's a diva. Yeah, most receivers are, but he's not Antonio Brown level threatening or dangerous to a team. In Pittsburgh, he had no quarterback. All he did ever, Chad, was put up big numbers and make big plays. This past season in Dallas, he shared the field with CeeDee Lamb, put up big numbers and made big plays. As long as you're winning, he'll be okay. But you can't not want Pickens for that reason and then go advocate for the Broncos to trade for A.J. Brown, who's the same exact type of personality, the same exact type of receiver. Here's a reality check for you. Bring in top-tier talent, you win more games, everyone's happy.
Yeah, well said, bro. Jordan Lewis, good to see you, big dog, another dear member. David Yunkin says, if Sean Payton steps aside and becomes CEO and lets Webb call the plays, sky's the limit for the Broncos. What I don't quite understand is why everyone is so sure an unproven play caller in the NFL is better than a guy who's been doing it for 25 years and just had your team at the doorstep of the Super Bowl. Can this offense be better? Absolutely freaking lootly. As I read there just a moment ago from Chris Sims, the offense has been kind of basic in terms of what you kind of expect and imagine and remember seeing, Zach, all those years with the New Orleans Saints. You wonder where some of that magic and the creativity and the trickeration. Now, I'm not talking flea flickers. I'm just saying like that innovative mindset. We saw it at times. You saw it come through when they had to have it. Like you saw Sean Payton, some of his first 15, great in some of these games this season, but especially Zach, when they had to have it, like some of the play calls in that fourth quarter against the Giants were absolutely amazing, including that touchdown that Bo Nix ran in off the left tackle, Garrett Bowles charging ahead and some really great plays. My point here is, why has it been slightly basic? What do you suppose, Zach, explains it when we know through the lens of history, we were there, we saw it, how creative and explosive his offenses have been at times for all those years in New Orleans?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he at times he loses trust in Bo Nix. Obviously, he doesn't have the same trust level as in with Drew Brees. I can't explain that, but I can try to explain why there's this push for Davis Webb. You know how they say the backup quarterback's the most popular player on the team? I think the same applies here. It's the unknown that's exciting. It's human nature. Everyone wants to always go to the next monkey bar and see what's there. This is the next monkey bar, Davis Webb. We've seen Sean Payton for 3 seasons now as play caller. We know his strengths, we know his weaknesses. I think some people want to see what Davis Webb brings to the table. He's younger, maybe he's more innovative. From that argument, from that standpoint, I understand. But Sean, as you were laying out there, Chad, he showed levels of genius. He got the Broncos with Bo Nix's help and the defense's help to the AFC title game. So for a coach like that, who already has a big ego and is accomplished with a ring, why, after making the AFC title game, would he turn around and give up play calling when he doesn't have to? If they would have missed the playoffs or they went one and done, then I could see it happening. But they won a playoff game, and if he didn't lose his quarterback, Chad, they'd be in the Super Bowl right now, and we wouldn't be talking about this.
Exactly. Zach, I'm not sure what people are talking about the new running back the Broncos signed. I don't know where that's coming from.
Be news to me.
A Raiders running back. I mean, the Broncos did sign Sincere McCormick in December and then cut him. So I'm not sure exactly where that is coming from exactly, guys. But if Zach and I, you know, we've been doing this a long time. We try not to miss anything. We almost never do. So if there's something slipped through the cracks, by all means, we definitely want to know about it. But that's the last running back move I can remember with any ties to the Raiders anyway. Guys, we got a lot more here that we're going to be getting to. But first, listen up, gang. Valentine's Day, it is almost here. How will you show yourself and those around you a little extra love? Whether it's for someone special or just yourself, Cozy Earth makes it easy to bring comfort and care into your everyday life. This Valentine's Day season, they're offering a BOGO pajama deal you won't see any other time of year.
Guys, check out the bamboo pajama set. It's a classic Cozy Earth favorite, and it's the sleepwear upgrade that'll make you look forward to slipping in bed at night even more than you already do. Lightweight yet cozy, this soft pajama set helps you fall asleep faster and stay comfortable longer. Designed to drape beautifully and sleep cooler than cotton, it keeps your temperature just right without overheating. It makes for a great night's sleep.
Try them out, guys. If you don't love them, return them hassle-free. But trust me, you won't want to. Cozy Earth offers customers a 100-night sleep trial as well as a 10-year warranty because once you feel this level of comfort, you'll want it to last a decade.
These viral PJs are so good. They sold out during the holidays, and now they're back with an exclusive deal only available January 25th to February 8th. So head on over to CozyEarth.com and use our code HuddleBOGO to buy one, get one free. Get these PJs for you and someone you love. And if you get a post-purchase survey, be sure to mention you heard about Cozy Earth right here at MHH. Celebrate everyday love with comfort that makes little moments count.
Yes, indeed. All right, back to the chat we go here. Jordan Lewis saying, for a dear member saying, I'm hearing we might bring PJ Locke back too. You know, I think, Zach, honestly, I think PJ Locke was kind of trending to be on his way out the door. I think he was kind of trending to where, 2025 was going to be his last season probably for the Broncos, but he played so well in relief of Brandon Jones. Now what do you do? I mean, Brandon Jones is under contract one more year. I think this is his contract year coming up. So you've got your starting duo, Zach, locked in for 2026 still in Talanoa Hufanga and Brandon Jones. But you saw this year how important having a reliable third safety really is. PJ Locke, it wouldn't cost the world, Zach, to bring him back. And yet what I've heard too, though, is that they have future plans for Devin Key to be more than just an all-pro special teams ace. So if, depending on how true that is, they might say, too many cooks ruin the broth. We don't need that many guys. We got JL Skinner, who's going into a contract year. PJ, hit the bricks. What do you expect to see?
I mean, I could boil it down simply. It depends how the Broncos feel about PJ. Do they think he can be a future starter? If the answer is yes, then bring him back. If the answer is no, then let him walk. Because as a third safety, a fourth safety, whatever, as a backup, they're a dime a dozen. And he didn't really show me anything that would scream must resign. There are only a few players really that are Broncos free agents that I would look to bring back, like Dobbins, JFM, and McMillian's RFA, but I want the Broncos to sign him long term. Other than that, though, the likes of PJ Locke and Singleton, enjoy the open market. Best of luck.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see, Jordan. Yeah, so I'm also seeing questions about Benito having a surgery. To my knowledge, unless there's something that just came out tonight, like within the last 3 or 4 hours, Zach, on his wrist. We know he had that surgery, minor surgery on his foot in August. I haven't heard anything about, I mean, he was just at the Pro Bowl game. So unless it happened, yesterday, I don't know. I hadn't heard that either, Zach.
I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but I know that there's a lot of AI fake slop going around on social media. A lot of it's prevalent on Facebook. So
Facebook,
I would recommend people to double check and just Google these things if you see them. If it's legitimate, it'll be corroborated by another outlet, more than likely us too. But if you only see it on Facebook, there's a reason for that. Just be aware.
Yes. And it gets people, even like educated people who maybe you should know, but like even my wife, it got her twice during this season. One of them had something to do with some meme she saw about Bo Nix's wife speaking out after his injury. She read it off to me, and I said, that didn't happen, honey. No, I saw it on Facebook. From a da-da-da. I said, well, who shared it? I don't know. It was like, Broncos New World Order or something. I'm like, there you go. Stuff
Seems
like
legit.
that happens on the reg, guys. Now, I'm not saying that's what this was, is again, like Zach, but beware of that stuff, especially prevalent, guys, on Facebook. Facebook has just become, unfortunately, a cesspool.
Yeah.
And when you deprioritize and push out actual credible publishers, that's what you get. Turns out you just leave it wild, wild west for anybody to just step in and fill that vacuum with slop. And that's what's happening. Yeah. So, Zach, we talked a little bit about this with yesterday. It's a similar story anyway. Nick Benito saying Cortland Sutton saying everybody knows Broncos should be in this Super Bowl, basically. But what exactly did Pat Surtain say that got all the headlines the last couple of days?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give, again, props to Kay Adams of FanDuel, who gets Broncos players and coaches to open up like nobody else. But at the Super Bowl, it was Radio Row, all the media obligations. Nick Benito and Patrick Surtain sat down with Kay Adams for an interview, and she asked him point blank, would the AFC title game have gone differently with Bo Nix under center and not Jarrett Stidham? And PS2 had like a 5-word answer, whatever, 4-word answer. He goes, yeah, no doubt. And then he got into why, and he goes, when you lose someone like Bo, it's a big effect on the team, and Stidham prepared well, but it's tough to expect anyone to step in there and have the game of his life. And he said Bo's going to attack the rehab and come back bigger and stronger and better from this. So that's what I took out of it. But it's consensus, Chad, I think. If Bo Nix would have played this game with how he came off of the divisional round, with how the Broncos were playing with that magic, I don't think it's a question, honestly.
And that's why still to this day, man, I think back to that little post game he did still on the field following the Bills. And he's given the, stiff upper lip, no reason to believe anything may be going on. And then the second that Wolfson turns the question to the AFC Championship game and the opportunity to advance to the Super Bowl, you see him go like this and rub his head, like painful for him to think, because he knew had to go get the x-rays and be sure and all that. But people know, especially athletes, man, they know their bodies. He knew something was seriously wrong. And yeah, man, if that freak thing doesn't happen, Broncos find a way to win that really weird and ugly game. I think you said it best, Zach. At the very least, we know that two-handed fumble, a two-handed fumble from Stiddy, probably would have avoided that. And then not only that, Zach, even if there was some kind of a turnover, similarly, maybe Bo gets strip sacked or whatever, that fourth quarter magic thing, that penchant for just being able to find a way, make a way when the chips were down. And the belief that the entire team has now in Bo to be able to do that, it was clearly lacking in that fourth quarter. Like you could just tell Broncos knew as the snow just kept falling, dude. That offense, they just knew they were cooked. Like, especially when Will Lutz was missing field goals and all that stuff, like writing was on the wall. But I believe fully, I'm right there with Surtain. I'm right there with Nick Bonito. I'm right there with Cortland Sutton. If Bo doesn't suffer that freak injury, the Broncos are in the Super Bowl. Now, did they go on to win against a team as good and just phenomenal as the Seattle Seahawks? We'll never know, but it would have been a game for sure.
I can't remember if he was with the Broncos or playing the Broncos with the Texans, but Brock Osweiler is the only other quarterback I can recall, Chad, that actually threw a fumble. Unfortunately for Stidham, it came in the AFC title game. It's Bo Nix wouldn't have done that, point blank period. The Patriots defense fought their asses off. I'll give them credit, but they didn't play like the 2000 Ravens. I think Bo Nix would have scored more than 7 points. And don't forget, New England only had 10 because of that fumble. Not even a question at all. So I co-sign what PS2 said. No doubt about it.
Okay, Mblex, sorry, I'll read your comment more specifically. So Mblex, dear member, jumping in saying, I can see Peyton compromising and letting Webb call plays between the 20s and Peyton takes over in the red zone. Or Webb gets first and second down, Peyton gets third, or vice versa. I understand the direction you're going, but I just don't think Sean Payton feels any need whatsoever to do that. I'm not saying that there isn't a reason for fans to necessarily want to see some kind of changes to the play calling per se. I don't see it myself. I've already explained my reasons behind that. But guys, he doesn't owe Davis Webb anything. And I know that's not what you're saying, David. I'm just saying that, like, he already did Davis the solid by giving him another promotion in back-to-back years to an offensive coordinator job. And as Zach just mentioned too, Lord knows what that paycheck improvement looks like as well. So I think Davis Webb doesn't feel like he's necessarily owed anything. It's a matter of let me now have a greater voice in the room. Joe Lombardi's gone. There's that vacuum. I'm filling in. I'm stepping in. I'm filling that up with my ideas. And I think that's going to redound well to the Broncos' success.
Yeah, well said. I don't know who brought up the comment, but that's a good way. I understand, like Chad said, where you're going with it, but that's a good way to get your quarterback out of rhythm. Because what happens if Sean Payton and Davis Webb have two separate cadences? I'm assuming Davis Webb will speak faster than Sean Payton would relaying plays. That's a lot to put on Bo Nix as a quarterback, hearing one, then hearing the other. It's like you can't get half pregnant in this case. You have to either jump in with both feet or not at all. You either give Davis Webb play calling or you don't. You can't have it both.
William says, a great member of our community, saying, I'm not watching the Super Bowl this year. Have no desire to. If the Bills were in it, I would. Halftime show isn't something I'm interested in either. I mean, I can't even remember the last time the halftime show was interesting to me in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, I mean, if it was a team, I think William's point here too is like, if it was a team that is still yet to get a ring, like the Bills are still searching for a Super Bowl ring, you'd kind of have an emotional loyalty, interest anyway, in seeing them try to achieve it. But when Darth Vader is going against Emperor Palpatine, you're kind of like, I'm out. I don't need to see which of the villains wins.
Yeah, I don't know. Call me a hater, but I'm glad that Allen's not in this game to maybe get a ring because the ball washing would be even worse than it already is. I think he's a little overrated. So Drake May, he's the future of the league, and I'm a fan of his. I'm not a fan of his fans or the Patriots fan base, but I do like Drake May. I like the way he quarterbacks, I like the way he takes chances. I like the way he paid respect to Bo Nix as well. So it's a game that I don't care about at all. I'm watching it just because I love football, but no interest, no emotional investment this year. It reminds me of 2020, the Chiefs and Bucks, that Super Bowl. Lose.
All right. So if we're talking about getting back to this play calling thing, and we honestly, guys, should not let it stretch too far into this offseason and kind of cloud the main points here, like getting better as a team, personnel wise, finding the right free agents, finding the right draft picks. I think one of the reasons it's been out there, Zach, is such a prominent storyline. I'm going to grab Ralph here in a second. Such a prominent storyline this offseason was the report. It wasn't just that the Broncos fired Joe Lombardi. Everybody knew, most educated Broncos fans knew Joe Lombardi did not call plays, right? Almost everyone knew that Sean Payton's the play caller. But then we get that report, Zach, that Sean Payton, before the Bills made the decision to hire Joe Brady as their head coach, that Sean Payton wanted him as the new OC in Denver, was willing or at least open, Zach, to the idea of giving up play calling to get Joe Brady in Denver. But then, of course, he gets offered the head coaching job to stay in Buffalo, and of course, he takes that. So, if the idea being that if Sean Payton was even at all open to the idea for Joe Brady, then he must just be ready to give it away, just get it off his chest, get it off his plate, and do the same for Davis Webb. The big difference here, first of all, we don't know how true that report is. Nevertheless, the big difference here, Joe Brady is already a proven play caller in the NFL. You got one preseason game against the Cardinals last season from Davis Webb. That's not me trying to crap on Davis Webb. I think he's going to bring a lot to the table, but there's a big difference between those two things, right? Like proven play caller, playoff play caller. Davis Webb never done it before. I'm Sean Payton. I've been doing it 25 years. Doesn't change my calculus. Davis, here, you're OC. Help me come up with better plays. I'm still the guy calling the plays on game day.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know that it's going to be, again, people are expecting an instant process. And first of all, you have to doubt or question at least the veracity of that report. Like you mentioned, Chad, is it true? Was it hearsay? Was it being planted? But I tend to believe that there is some truth to it, because the press conference that Peyton had after the season, he talked about the receivers dropping passes. What happened like an hour later? It came out that they fired Kerry Colbert. They got rid of Joe Lombardi. So I'm following not Peyton's words, I'm following his actions. And so far, his actions lead me to believe he is going to make some wholesale changes, though it might not come on the timeline like everyone's expecting.
Yeah, we'll see, man. I have some serious doubts that Peyton's ready to turn over some new leaf. I could understand it, Zach, if the Broncos offense was, bottom three and big reason why they got bounced from the playoffs or something. But, that's not what it was. They were a broken ankle away from the Super Bowl. And so we'll see. We'll see. But Sean Payton, guys, if there's an opportunity to innovate, he will. The question that we got to think about and try and figure out the answer is, I keep going back, Zach, to what Chris Sims said about just kind of the basic foundation, the basicness of the offense these 2 years that Bo's been there. I am inclined to attribute it to his relative inexperience as a first year and then second year quarterback. But could there be more to that story? I'm not sure. We'll continue to study it. But guys, before we continue on, listen up. Broncos country, never before has online privacy been more important. That's where Surfshark comes in. And guys, it is a game changer. Surfshark is a virtual private network which covers all your online activity. And using a VPN, it's like wearing pants. All the important stuff stays private and secure when you walk out the front door. And once your device connects to the internet, all the information thereon is encrypted, which keeps your online activity hidden from all those snoopers and trackers.
Guys, raise your hand like me if you've ever searched for something kind of random, like prices on a Broncos jersey, and next thing you know, you're getting jersey ads every time you open one of your social media apps or browse online. Thankfully, today's sponsor, Surfshark VPN, can help us out with that. A VPN allows me to mask my real IP address so that my online activity is no longer being tracked.
That's right. 100%, you guys, 100%. They also offer Surfshark Alert, and it's absolutely indispensable. The only thing scarier, let's face it, than forgetting a password is finding out that a password has been leaked online somewhere. The Surfshark Alert feature can help with this by constantly scanning the web for your personal info, things like your email address, passwords, even credit card details, and it sends you an instant alert if any of them appear in a data breach. Can be a lifesaver.
So take control of your online privacy and protect yourself against data breaches by signing up with Surfshark VPN. It comes with a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to surfshark.com/milehigh or just go to surfshark.com and use our code milehigh at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Again, that's surfshark.com/milehigh with our code milehigh. And by the way, the URL and the code can also be found in our show's notes below.
Whoa, I just got a weird delay. Am I delayed right now? I'm good? Okay. That was weird. I had this weird delay. But weird. All right, back to the chat, guys. Jake, a dear member, do the Broncos need to add the tush push to their playbook? Zach, we saw it a few times during the season, but usually in the short yardage, Broncos were handing it off, right? Like usually. Makes you wonder why it wasn't more. It's such a high percentage play. Why isn't it used more?
I don't know that it's as high percentage as it was in years past. It's still effective for sure on the goal line or, fourth and inches, whatever. But if you watch Eagles games in 2025, it got stopped way more often than it was in years past. So I don't know if they want to implement that now with Bo Nix coming off the ankle. I think there was one reason why Sean Payton was reticent of letting Bo Nix run more, and that was because of his injury. Whether he's predisposed to them or not, Chad, that's a whole other debate. But I don't know that it's the best thing now. You want your quarterback pushing and grinding in those piles and using energy and generating explosion coming off that ankle surgery.
Well said. Ralph, good to see the brace girdle in the hizzy saying, I haven't been getting notifications when you go live. I got it on X tonight. Well, there's Facebook for you, big dog. Facebook continues to disappoint. I wish I could say differently, but that is the case. Glad that you found it on X and then pulled it up on Facebook, but maybe go back to the MHH Facebook page and turn on notifications or whatever, like turn it off, then turn it back on. Maybe that makes a difference. I'm not sure, but it's great to see you tonight, brother. Shannon says it'll be harder next year for the Broncos. The AFC West will be crazy competitive and their schedule is much harder. They need more weapons on offense and adjustments on defense. Still optimistic though. Yeah, but the main coaches that you really need to crack that nut, so to speak, are still in Denver. Sean Payton, Vance Joseph, Davis Webb. The bulk of the staff stays in place. If they're able to, Zach, make a few tweaks personnel-wise to improve the weaponry around Bo Nix, sky's still the limit because, yeah, Patrick Mahomes is not going to be going quietly into that good night. But, Zach, he also suffered a pretty serious, gruesome knee injury himself. It's going to take him some time to get back up to speed. And, I mean, the Chargers are always now, Zach. As long as Jim Harbaugh's there, the Chargers are going to be a force to be reckoned with. They're going to be a thorn in Denver's side. And the thing is, relative to the harder schedule next year, that is true. But we're talking about a team now, Zach, that is utterly battle tested. You know what I mean? Like they've been in so many tight situations and found the ways to overcome and prevail that those type of games, man, it's like you don't have to worry about it as much. Like this team for so many years, Zach, had been a losing team. They had forgotten how to win. They had forgotten. It's kind of like I was explaining this with regard to my son's high school team, basketball team. They were doing very, very well. And then one of their star guards suffered an injury. And it had this really terrible trickle down effect because my son, he's 6'6", 6'7" when he's got shoes on. So of course in high school, and he can dunk and all that. He plays center, right? Well, center in high school, it's very much a guard-dependent position. Long story short, Zach, they start kind of trending downward while this kid was hurt, this guard, and they stopped really believing in these tight game situations late that they could win, that they could prevail. And so just like a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy, sure enough, when the chips were down, one thing would lead to another. They would come up short, and they've yet still to this point to find that belief and get it back. And Broncos have that, but they were in that hole for a long time where the exposure, man, they'd get there and they just couldn't quite make enough plays to get over the hump. That's why it's all right if they have a harder schedule this time around, Zach, because they are a more proven, battle-tested team that now knows and understands this is how you get it done.
Yeah, you mentioned everyone that's coming back, and it's absolutely true. The big three on the coaching staff, but you know who else is coming back in 2026? Bo Nix. And as long as Bo Nix is healthy and as long as Bo Nix is playing for you, you're going to be competitive. You're going to be trying to be the class of the AFC. You're going to be pushing for the AFC West. This wasn't an outlier, 2025. This is the expectation now going forward, and that's the beauty of finding your franchise quarterback.
Well said. Ralph, Andrew Mason is predicting a Patriots-Broncos matchup week 1. What are your thoughts? I'd love to see it. It would give Broncos country a modest chance at closure and recompense for being robbed of the first Knicks May head-to-head. And that was something, Zach, that May talked about, as you wrote up earlier this week. Like, hey, we got a matchup later next season where, Broncos Patriots play each other. So fans aren't going to be kept waiting too long. But I'd love to see that as a way to kick off the season. I think it would be great.
Yeah, Ralph. Everyone note, though, that the game is going to be in Foxborough. It's a road game for the Broncos in 26. And if the Patriots do win the Super Bowl, the champions open the season on a Thursday night at home, I would not be surprised in that scenario if they open up against the Broncos on Thursday Night Football, Week 1 season opener. Bring them on, baby.
That would be awesome. So good topic there. Thanks, Ralph. DJ Capo in the hizzy. Good to see you, big dog. Says, what's up, Broncos fam? I have a nephew going in the draft as a receiver. Dude, that's sick. Praying the Broncos can draft him. We have good hands. He has good hands. Cyrus Allen, look him up. Will do, buddy. We'll check him out. And is he hopefully, is he going to get invited to the combine? Okay, Texas A&M. Yeah, interesting. We'll keep an eye on him, dude. He is I'm just going to go off of his wiki. 5'11", 180. Interesting. Pretty productive. 2024. Yeah, interesting. We'll keep an eye on him, dude.
Can he catch? You're saying he has good hands. So if he can catch, sign him up. As long as he can hold on to the football and do his primary job, bring him on.
Dude, how cool would that be, though, to have someone from DJ's family as a Bronco?
Awesome.
Man, even more to cheer for, dude. So that's cool. We'll definitely keep an eye on him. And in fact, right now, I'm going to write his name down. And we will put some draft attention on this dude. Appreciate you, DJ. All right, guys, we're about out of time here. Joe Anthony, I hope they can go 14-3 again, but I'm going to 13-4 or 12-5. Yeah, dude, it's going to be tough. It's always going to be tough to win 14 games, man. Like, Broncos have only done it twice in the history of the franchise, 1998 and then this past season. So, if you can get to 12 wins, usually, Zach, 12, 13 wins, most of the time you're going to be in pretty good situation. Are you always going to be one seed? Maybe not. But 12 wins, I think, is still a pretty fair target for the Broncos in 2026.
Agreed. It's just so hard to do like a record prediction in February before free agency and the draft. So yeah, we'll have more on that as the offseason goes on, Joe. But as long as Bo Nick stays healthy, you're going to win probably 12 games minimum, I would say.
All right, Richard, your question about Vaughn, we're going to get that here in just a minute. First, we got a couple of messages for you. Don't go anywhere. We'll take one last look at the chat before we dip.
Another tremendous installment, as always, of the Mile High Huddle podcast. If you're not doing so, please follow us on X at the MHH Pod. You can follow the main account on X at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every single podcast, check out MHHmerch.com and get you some. If you haven't done so yet, please drop us a like at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. You can find us on Instagram at Mile_High_Huddle. If you haven't done so, please join our brand new Discord server. The link is in the description below. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. But if anything, please, as always, subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans, just like you.
We got one here from Richard. It says, what are your thoughts on Vaughn coming back? Guys, I would love to see it, as you know. If we're talking probabilities, I think it's pretty slim. Just because, Zach, that's such a strong and deep position group that's got at the top an all-pro, a second contract guy that's been double-digit sack guy, a recent draft pick, 2 recent draft picks, Zach, and then a guy who came out of nowhere to be a very handy, very productive rotational pass rusher in Dondre Tillman.
Yep.
Who are you excising from the equation if you bring in Vaughn? That's the way the Broncos view it, right? So never say never. I would love to see it, but I just don't expect to see it.
We have to all resign ourselves like we had our time. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. X's are X's for a reason. There's a reason why the Broncos moved on. And even Vaughn acknowledged, I need them right now more than they need me. They moved on with Benito and Cooper. They have 2 young backups, like Chad mentioned. Despite Vaughn still having gas left in the tank, I didn't realize until I wrote up an article about him recently. He had 9 sacks last year. He led the Commanders, so it's not like he's totally washed. But I am not ruining the development or the progress of the younger players. They have 2 studs. Jonah Ellis could start for about 15 other teams in the NFL right now. I want to put my resources and my time into him and let the bygones with Vaughn be bygones. We had our run. It was great. We're looking for the future now. He wants to come back and sign a 1-day contract, Chad, or retire. More than welcome to. He wants to come on the coaching staff as a linebackers coach. More than welcome to. But you're not signing on the 53 and taking playing time over Tillman or Jonah Ellis.
Yeah, I think that's honestly the view inside the building. But I do look forward to that time where he does come home, sign the 1 day, and retire.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm looking forward to Von Miller retiring. I'm saying that day is going to be a special day. No doubt about it. He'll come home. You could see his heart's still in Denver and always will be. Big E, I want to grab this, buddy, and then we're going to dip. He says, if Sean Payton was willing to give up play calling duties for Joe Brady, why wouldn't he then be willing to do so for Joe Lombardi? Because he's proven too. Apples and oranges, big dog. First of all, Joe Lombardi was fired for a reason. Second of all, Zach, he's kind of been fired. I mean, every coach – I don't want to make too much of this, but every coach eventually gets fired, right? There are no lifers, but you can't look at Joe Lombardi's past as a offensive coordinator in the NFL and really find a lot of success. I mean, in 21 and 22, he was blessed to have Justin Herbert as his quarterback, but even then, he couldn't survive past 2 years. Whereas Joe Brady has now a pretty long history of success as a play caller in the NFL. Not only that, but he's a spring off the Sean Payton coaching tree. Sean Payton gave him his job way back in the day, all that stuff. So it's probably more comfortability and not just like, well, Joe Lombardi, also a longtime Sean Payton assistant. So let's say those things are a wash, right? The familiarity, the comfortability, Zach. The big difference is Sean Payton obviously respects, covets what Joe Brady brings to the table as a game caller, as a play caller, as a designer, all that stuff, as we could see from the firing of Joe Lombardi, Zach, not the case for him.
Go ask any Saints fan or Chargers fan how they feel about Joe Lombardi, and you're not going to hear many kind words in return. There's a reason why, as Chad said there, he's been fired by everyone. But in Denver and in New Orleans, I guess, he was just a lackey. He was Sean Payton's assistant. He didn't really do anything. He just knew Sean Payton. That's what his qualification was. I don't know that he respected him all that much, Chad, as a play caller or a quarterback developer or anything like that. Here's what I think the bigger problem is, though, with someone especially like Davis Webb, who's half Sean Payton's age. What happens if Sean Payton gives up play calling and the Broncos offense looks better with Davis Webb calling plays? What does that then say about Sean Payton? How does that affect his legacy? How does that make him look? If you don't think that goes into the equation and his ego, you're very naive. I think there's some sort of the student surpassing the teacher that Sean Payton's a little terrified of.
And again, I remain unconvinced that Davis Webb out of the box basically is going to be a better play caller than a 25-year veteran in Sean Payton. The same guy that Dick Vermeil, Hall of Fame coach, said Payton and Andy Reid are the 2 offensive minds of the modern era. And out of the box, first opportunity to call plays in the league, you expect Davis Webb to be better than that? I mean, that's tough. Now, we still need to, I want to close with this, Zach. We still need to get to the bottom of why the offense was, as Chris Sims pointed out, I agree with him, why it's been so basic the last couple of years, relatively speaking. And at times, Zach, both of us frustrated how predictable it's been at times. Why? Is it simply the insulation and part of the development of a young quarterback? If so, I would say time to take the training wheels off, coach, because your quarterback now has 25 career wins, including a playoff game. Let's go win some football games.
Well, best as a play caller is hard to quantify when there's a quarterback and other players making those plays happen. But I look at it like this. Would Davis Webb have thrown a pass to Garrett Bowles in the end zone on goal to go, for example? Would Davis Webb go for it on 4th down. Or I know that's maybe out of his jurisdiction. Would he have called that play on that 4th and 1 as Sean Payton did? That's my question. If they could improve there situationally, I think that's Sean Payton's biggest blindside. His biggest bugaboo is situational awareness and play calling. If they can improve that, Chad, I don't care who is holding the play sheet. I just want the Broncos offense to be more consistent and score more points.
Guys, we love you. Thank you so much. Shout out to a few other members that I haven't shouted yet tonight. Sue Gibson, Roy Osborne. Roy, hope you're doing all right today, big dog. Todd Ostendorf in the house. I think I've caught all the members in the show tonight. And thanks, Jordan. Appreciate the props, big dog, and appreciate you being a member and contributing to the conversation. Todd saying Sean's not giving up play calling, play sharing. Best case scenario for Webb. We'll see. Shout out Patrick in the house. Aloha, Priest. Right back at you. Yes, no doubt. All right, guys. Mile high salute to the great Super Chat Superstar supporters, dear members, helping us keep the lights on tonight. Let me see if I can get this correct. So Shannon Mills, Sam Bam, Papa Bear. Yeah, I clicked on the wrong first Shannon, but there's the correct Shannon from tonight. George Fox, Ralph Bracegirdle, DJ Capo. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Zach and I are off until Sunday. Have a great rest of your week. Super Bowl. Well, we'll figure out what we're going to do on Sunday for the MHH pod. We'll let you guys know. But in case we don't see you before then, enjoy it. Even if you're, I assume most of you are going to watch the game, reluctantly though it may be. Enjoy it. I'm sure you got parties, family parties, friend parties to go to. Have some fun. It's the last football game till for 6 months or whatever. So enjoy it while you can.
Be safe, be responsible, have fun. As Chad said, we will see you soon. Enjoy your weekend. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.